Now, for me, the past is the past, and there is no benefit to you if I relitigate what was said and done involving my brother. And there are some outstanding legal fights that I have to respect. But let me be clear, I really do regret how everything ended, but I will never regret helping my family. I promised my father I would always be there for my brother, and I always will be. Just like he has always been there for me, just like my sisters have been there for me and have been there for him. That's family. Now, still there's loss and there's sadness. Being a reliable source of information and analysis for you matters to me a great deal. And I really have missed being able to help and communicate, especially during such wild times for all of us. As for CNN, I'll never be a hater. CNN has great people. CNN has a great purpose. And I wish them all the best. And I miss so many of the people there. But it's time for me to move on.
That's the newest Rising Friday correspondent, Chris Cuomo. Looking very
Welcome,
tan,
Chris.
by the way.
Yeah.
Ryan, what do you make of it?
He shouldn't have gone into journalism if that's like the values that he's expressing are noble values. Stand by your family. Fine. That's great. That's good. Promise your father you'll always support your brother. Great. I have no problem with that. But then you cannot, make a career as a journalist who is covering your brother, because then you have sold out the public in order then to make good on this private promise that you've made to your family. If your brother is somebody like Andrew Cuomo, who's going to be going on a variety of different crime sprees. And so, I think it's fine, but just not fine for a journalist.
Not fine for a journalist, and I don't think anybody has any reason to trust him at all, period, anymore, especially, by the way, if his consequence is a few months off from CNN and then he gets hired elsewhere, because it shows there's really no incentive for him to change. If his consequence is a few months off, a bad PR cycle, and then he ends up with another paycheck and another platform just a few months later, then there's no significant consequence to him going behind viewers' back, negotiating, and being part of a political scandal involving himself in the politics of the city of New York while he covers American politics, and while he covers his brother, by the way, gives his brother a platform. Well, we know now the nursing home scandal was completely happening as he's going on this nightly show with no questions, no skepticism, because he's talking to his brother. And Chris Cuomo said years ago, he made the point of saying, I won't cover my brother because it's so obviously wrong. So what changes? I mean, it's just there was no incentive ever for him really to be on the straight and narrow, and I still don't think there's an incentive. So for anyone serious to give him a platform going forward, I think that would be a real disservice to their readers and their viewers, because they just have no reason to trust him. And it's laughable that someone could ever lack judgment to that degree, and repeatedly over the course of months have a lapse in judgment that's severe, and then just say, oh, I'm sorry, but it's all good now. He deflects too. He doesn't even take full blame. He deflects and says, I was protecting my family. You're right, Ryan. Don't go into journalism if that's your motive.
I will say, though, that I think losing that perch, that coveted kind of nightly CNN slot, that is actually a real consequence. And now he's down to like sitting in a poorly lit room with a microphone like all the rest of us. And so, that's got to, yes, for now. What is he doing? Well, like, what's the, what is his long-term plan? Do you know, like, and is that just he's on Locals now, or where's he doing his, like, where is he doing his show or whatever he's got?
I don't know. I've seen him doing a couple interviews, and I assume that means he's like actively strategizing, trying to massage his image back to a better place and get deals and shop himself around and try to find something. And that's why I think it's important to make the point that, it's really, he has lost the trust of viewers, and by deflecting it and saying I was just protecting my family instead of I was completely wrong, this is not the role of a journalist no matter what, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, the allegations here, that's not allegations. We have emails. He's actively operating behind the scenes on behalf behalf of a politician while acting as a journalist and then not disclosing it. It's pretty wild. And so, yes, it's his brother this time around, but it's such a severe lapse in judgment that I just don't see how he deserves the trust of viewers until he comes out and says, this was a severe lapse of judgment. A journalist has no place doing this. I lied to my viewers. I was basically misrepresenting my role. I was completely biased in this situation. You know, he deflected. And until he can come out and say that, if he's shopping himself around to other platforms, I think it would be a mistake for somebody to give him another platform just because he lost the trust. He lost the trust, and I don't think he deserves the trust.
Right. As a journalist, your sole and only loyalty has to be to the public.
Yep.
And if it's not, then when you say that your trust is important to me, but I promised my father I'd always stick by my brother. It's like, well, then trust wasn't actually that important to you. Mm-hmm. Like it has to come first. The public has to come first, and with him it didn't. I don't know what platform he'd wind up at, because obviously he's not going back to CNN. That leaves MSNBC. It's hard to see MSNBC picking up somebody that CNN booted because just out of pride, basic pride, corporate pride reasons. So after that, Peacock. I mean, I can't see where he wants. It's hard for me to see any prestigious. I don't know, would Showtime or some type of streaming thing that thinks that they can. But all these streaming places are saturated with his audience. Right. And Netflix has said that. They're not. They got Obama. They got everybody who likes Obama. They're not. That's not who they want now. They need to expand beyond. They feel like they have everybody in that demographic that they're going to be able to get. Now they just need to. They're just going to try to charge them more and make their kids get accounts too. But they're not finding new people that aren't on. So I don't know where a Cuomo winds up. Substack.
Yeah, it's certainly possible. YouTube, Substack, podcasting. I don't know. Given his level of power and connection, I would assume that he is shopping himself around somewhere. I don't know what that would be. But yeah, you're right, Ryan. It's hard to imagine what it would be. But if anybody is imagining it, free advice here: stop. Because distrust in media is already way high enough. You don't need to add fuel to the fire for the sake of ratings, because it will backfire on you someday. The backlash will come for your ratings at some point, even if it's not in the short term.
Yeah, that's not a sustainable approach to trying to balance those two things.
No, not at all. Well, that's all we have for Rising Fridays today. Ryan, is there you have any final thoughts on the saga, the tortured saga of the Cuomo brothers?
I think we've beyond exhausted my thoughts on the Cuomo brothers. Yeah.
We'll do a weekly Ryan Grim segment, checking in on the Cuomos. Well, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss any content. And for those of you who like to listen while on the go, we're also available anywhere you listen to podcasts, of course. Make sure to check that out. We will have, of course, more Rising Fridays for you next Friday. We hope we continue to cultivate that Pavlovian response among the audience, where you know it's Friday and you can't wait to get up and just go through the whole playlist of Rising Fridays.
There you go. Yeah, and check out that podcast. I've been listening to it from the other days of Rising a little bit too, and it's a nice way to take it in, actually, and then you're also not at the whim of the algorithm as much, because you can just you know where you got it.
That's true. That's a good point. Maybe I should start doing that too. Although Rising Fridays, it's all you really have to listen to. Yeah. No, I'm kidding. We love the other guys.
No, you don't want to miss Robbie and Bree going at it. That's good stuff.
Yeah. No, you don't want to miss it.
And Kim trying to moderate. It's like we were talking. I saw Robbie. It's a new dynamic there. It was Robbie was trying to moderate between me and Kim. Now it's Kim moderating between Robbie and Brianna. It's great.
We need color commentary for Rising. So it's like the Tony Romo of news commentary. Maybe we could do it for them, actually. That
would be fun. We'll do a post game.
Yeah. Actually, not a bad idea. Maybe we'll experiment with that. But make sure you stay tuned in, and we'll be back next week with more Rising Fridays.
Have a good weekend, everybody.